What's going on, everyone? So, reports came out that the Los Angeles Lakers could have already traded Jarred Vanderbilt as well as Gabe Vincent, but so far have held off. So, according to these reports, the Lakers have had opportunities to include the likes of Gabe Vincent and Jarred Vanderbilt in trade packages already. But they declined to do so per Sean Devaney. Still, the feeling around the Lakers is that the team is pretty much set as it is, and that no major trades are forthcoming until the season gets rolling. The Lakers have had opportunities to include the likes of Gabe Vincent and Jarred Vanderbilt in trade packages already, but have declined to do so. And, kind of mixed opinions on that, right? Look, obviously, Lakers really could use a trade. Obviously, the Lakers, you would imagine Gabe Vincent in particular, especially after landing Marcus Smart, could make some sense to get off of. There's a lot of talks about Bronny James potentially getting some rotation minutes. If that's the case, then, getting off of Gabe Vincent again could be good. Jarred Vanderbilt, I'm kind of iffy on, personally. He's our best perimeter defender and our most versatile defender. Like, if you were to land, say, an Andrew Wiggins or something like that, then sure, maybe, you'd be more comfortable getting off of Jarred Vanderbilt. But here's a couple things, right? One, we don't know what those trades were. Right? Like, it might have been, you have to give up those guys and we'll take a first, right? It might have been salary dump trades and teams. Yeah, we'll take Jarred Vanderbilt. Yeah, we'll take Gabe Vincent, but we also want your first and we want Dalton Connect in the process, right? And it depends on what the return is, right? Look, talked about it a million times. Rob Pelinka, if there is a trade to be made, he will make it. He's made a trade every year but 1 year, right? And yet he said, I want, win now moves, win now trades, now moves is how he put it. Right? So I do expect them to continue to explore, continue to be patient. Hey, and also it depends on what moves are there, what moves could potentially be there, right? Like the Utah Jazz trade is a great example, right? Like this time that year was like 3 seasons ago now. That trade was on the table, but the asking price and the return was nowhere near what they ended up giving up and receiving, right? Originally, it was like Malik Beasley, Rudy Gay, and then Mike Conley, I think was what they were willing to give up, and they wanted like both first, unprotected, and then Lakers were like, no, we want Jarred Vanderbilt. They didn't want to give up Jarred Vanderbilt. Then they got to right before training camp, and then it was like, okay, fine, we still want both first, but you can unprotect both first, right? And then you fast forward into the season, Lakers were able to get the same trade, but instead of Mike Conley, they were able to get D'Angelo Russell, and then they were able to get Jarred Vanderbilt instead of Rudy Gay, and they only had to give up one protected first, right? So the patience again kind of paid off. And that's usually how it goes at this time of the offseason. Keep mentioning it, keep talking about it, because it's true, right? We're 2 months away from training camp. Right? Like, teams aren't in a rush to make a deal. Plus, no team wants to give up quality assets to help the Lakers and feel like they got fleeced, or no team wants to be the team that puts the Lakers over the top, right? So yes, if there is a proper trade, a trade that makes sense for Gabe Vincent, right? Let's say it's the Portland Trailblazers trade, and you can get Robert Williams and Matisse Thybulle for Gabe Vincent, Dalton Connect, and Maxi Kleber, right? Or maybe it's Jarred Vanderbilt. Again, I'd be a little iffy getting off of Jarred Vanderbilt to bring in Matisse Thybulle, right? Yes, Matisse Thybulle's better shooting, but again, his injury history, not that Jarred Vanderbilt has this pristine, but he's been healthier than Matisse Thybulle, so it's you're kind of trading that. But if it's something where instead of Jarred Vanderbilt, you could have done Maxi Kleber and gotten that trade done, right? And the Lakers didn't have to give up picks or anything like that, and they didn't do it, it's what are you doing, right? And if Gabe Vincent's the thing that is holding that up, you do it, right? It'd be silly, it'd be foolish, right? Same thing with a Jarred Vanderbilt, right? If you could get, an Andrew Wiggins, and they were okay, we want, Jarred Vanderbilt, Dalton Connect, and instead of Rui, maybe you're kind of stacking guys, right? Gabe Vincent, Jarred Vanderbilt, Dalton Connect, and Maxi Kleber for, a Andrew Wiggins, right? If you're holding off all that stuff to do that, and you can keep Rui and do all like that would be foolish, right? So, but the problem is we don't know what the trades were, what the other team was willing to give up, what the other team was willing to offer. Like, was this a consolidation trade? Was this like a straightforward trade? It'd be nice if we actually had some details on what that said trade is. It's easy to go like, hey, Lakers had chances to trade Gabe Vincent and Jarred Vanderbilt, but they refused. Okay, well, why? Is there a reason? Did they just refuse? Because the Lakers are like, man, it's the Russell Westbrook thing again, where it's like, oh, we really want to see what they can do this year, right? Like, and like, hey, if you can upgrade the roster and you can do so, yeah, I'm not against trading Jarred Vanderbilt. I've talked about trading Jarred Vanderbilt in the past, but again, it has to make sense. If you're trading Jarred Vanderbilt to get a Grayson Allen and a Nick Richards, like, I'd rather keep Jarred Vanderbilt at that point, right? Instead of getting into the contracts and all that other stuff. Or, if it's those players plus all these picks and all this other stuff, right? And you want a first and all these pick swaps, I'd rather keep Jarred Vanderbilt. Gabe Vincent, again, like, he was really starting to come into his own towards the back end of the season last year. If he can kind of continue that, I think he can be very good and productive for the Lakers. They're two of your best defensive pieces on this team. Again, if you can move off of Gabe Vincent in particular, Jarred Vanderbilt, like I said, I would personally, if I'm the Lakers, it would be kind of like there's like tiers in which guys you want to trade. Right? Obviously, like Luka is untouchable, right? LeBron, I think to an extent, unless, obviously if you could like land Giannis or Jokic right now, it's like, hey, LeBron, we love you, but gotta go, right? Like, it just depends. But, when you're talking about like the pecking order down the list, I do think Jarred Vanderbilt is kind of more towards the bottom, towards the middle, because you don't have another guy that can give you what he can provide. Now, again, if you get said guy or you get multiple people, like let's say you use Jarred Vanderbilt to go get a Matisse Thybulle trade, right? Like in that swap, it's like, like why? You're kind of just, but if the Lakers know like, oh, hey, we're going to go get Andrew Wiggins now, then yes, okay, now that makes sense, because it's like, okay, you're exchanging Matisse, you're basically turning Jarred Vanderbilt and Matisse Thybulle and Robert Williams, boom, solving two needs, and you went and got an Andrew Wiggins that can come in, slot in, so you got that versatile defensive player still, you got a legit center that could solve a lot of the Lakers' issues, and you were able to bring in, an Andrew Wiggins. But if you're going to do something and you don't know that Andrew Wiggins trade, then it's pointless. Again, I'm okay with the Lakers going into the season as is, being patient. If that move is there, take it. Right? But we don't know if those moves were there. It's easy to go, hey, Lakers could have traded these guys, but they didn't. Well, why? Why didn't they? Is it just Rob Pelinka, sitting on his hands and afraid to pull the trigger, right? Like, or is it something where it wasn't worth it? It didn't make sense, right? Because again, no trade is better than a bad trade. Right? If it's something where, like Herb Jones, just an example. I'm just using him as an example, right? So let's say you could get Herb Jones for, Jarred Vanderbilt, Rui Hachimura, and Gabe Vincent, right? Something like that. And, and you're getting Herb Jones plus like salary fill or whatever, right? Like some type of trade. And it's like the Lakers are like, well, oh man, Herb Jones, he's gonna tap into our our cap space for 2027. Like that would infuriate me. If it's a move to where if the Lakers could get a quality piece, right, and they're just not doing it for reasons that are maybes, right? Like, oh, maybe, yeah, we want to keep the cap space, and because maybe Giannis comes, or maybe Jokic comes, or whatever. If it's something like that, then yeah, I'd lose my mind. But if it's something where you're overpaying for a guy that just doesn't make sense, and you're losing too many pieces, or again, like maybe you're solving. If it's like a Malik Monk trade, and they're like, we want Gabe Vincent and Jarred Vanderbilt for Malik Monk. Like, again, I don't think that makes sense for Lakers. Yes, you're improving your bench scoring, but you're losing two of your biggest defensive pieces for next season. So again, you're leaning more heavily into the offensive side of things rather than having that better balance. I wouldn't do something like that. So to me, it really boils down to what were these trades that the Lakers could have made that were potential, that the Lakers just decided not to take, before we jump to conclusions of like, oh man, here we go, Lakers, sitting on their hands again, had an opportunity to make a trade and chose not to. Again, we can't get lost in we need the Lakers to make a trade. Lakers have to make a trade, right? Like, again, no trade is better than a bad trade. I'd rather the Lakers just keep Gabe Vincent and keep Jarred Vanderbilt than going and packaging them to go get something that just doesn't make sense, or something that just, is a lateral move. Right? That's pointless. If you're essentially, like I've even talked about, like people will be like, oh, Rui and Andrew Wiggins is a lateral move, but it's not given what the Lakers need, right? Like if you want to argue Rui's better at some areas than Andrew Wiggins and so on and so forth, but what Andrew Wiggins gives you is that athleticism, the defense, the switchability, right? It gives you things that just Rui doesn't give you, right? Like, yes, both guys can score offensively. If you want to argue Rui is better offensively, that's fine, but Andrew Wiggins is more athletic and he's better defensively. So again, it's one of those things where it's like, it makes sense. Like it's something that even if it's kind of a bit of a lateral move, your overall impact is higher, right? So again, it just depends on what these moves were, what the conversations were. It's a very vague report, right? It's very like, oh, they could have made a move, but they didn't. Like, it's like, okay, what was the move, right? Like, it's easy to say the Lakers could have made a move. Lakers could have traded for Giannis, right? But they didn't, right? Like, why? What's the reason? That's where my frustrations lie. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. I pass the question on you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me out. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one.